The Florida State Seminoles over/under win total will make you double take. It's 5.5. Now, it is a really, really tough schedule. They, like some other teams in the ACC, catch that Clemson, North Carolina, Miami draw. They've also got Florida as their annual rival at the end of the season. Non-con, you're looking at Jacksonville State and UMass as being good opportunities, but now and Notre Dame on the schedule.
Notre Dame too.
Yeah, Notre Dame too. So we're talking about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, like 4, 5 top 15 teams probably, or a roster that is going to be leaning heavily on transfers just to be able to play at a competitive level in the ACC and among its Power 5 peers. So where are we at with Mackenzie Milton, Jordan Travis, which transfers excite you? How do you think it ends up breaking for Mike Norvell and the Seminoles?
Go ahead, bud.
All right. I'm going.
Tom, don't do it to me.
This is not a bet for me. I think honestly, any kind of model you use, even if you account for the transfers, it's probably going to put you between 4 and 7 wins, as I think it should. I can't really see them winning more than 7. I have a hard time seeing them win less than 4. So it's not a bet. The transfers, you need to know, some of the coaches on this team think that Jermaine Johnson, the defensive end they got from Georgia, is the best player on the team, maybe the best player on the team by a lot. Dan Lanning, the UGA DC, is good buddies with Mike Norvell, so he personally vouched for him, and FSU went all in going after the kid. What is Mackenzie Milton? He came from that kind of Baylor-ish system they were running at UCF in his last year. He used to be able to run. Can he run now? I don't think Jordan Travis is out of the QB race, by the way. I still think they will use him quite a bit. But yet, generally, teams do find a way to make a bowl. Like, it is difficult for me to go under 5, under 5.5, unless I have real good information to do so. So I'm going to bet on them finding a way to make a bowl. Basically, the way they do that is they find a way to go 3-1 in some of their toss-up type games, or maybe one of Florida, UNC, Miami, Notre Dame is not quite as good as we think they are right now, and they're able to pull one of those. I do think this will be a better team. Like last year, it was like 88th in SP Plus. If it can get to 50th or ish, given all the college experience they brought in via the transfer portal, I think they could find a way to make a bowl. But it's just not what I'm rushing to bet, which should tell you my confidence in this. Like, they could easily go 4-8.
Daniel,
I'm going to go with my heart and go with the emotional play. So this is not a recommendation of what you should do with your money. I'm going to take the over. I've spent too much time around Norvell. I was in Tallahassee. I've bought into what he's selling, but I'll give you why I think it's foolish to take the over. Like, I'm all in. I'll be rooting for him. What Bud alluded to just a second ago when he said Jordan Travis is not out of the race, I got that feeling as well when I was there. And that makes me nervous. Like, I think there's a chance you could see 2 quarterbacks playing early this season for the Seminoles. And I am a believer that if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. I think it's imperative that they figure out which one is going to be the guy, by week 2. Or actually, I say week 3, because they have Notre Dame. They're probably going to play both. Jacksonville State, maybe you play both, but one of them has to separate so that you have your guy. And I feel like it's a really tricky situation because I feel like everyone loves Mackenzie Milton. Great story, great leadership. What he brings in the offseason is really critical. Jordan Travis, though, might be more talented. He's definitely a more talented runner. He's definitely healthier, but he's been limited as a passer. But all I heard from the Florida State staff was, man, you see Jordan Travis throwing it this year and didn't get to meet with us last year. And, we've had a whole offseason now. There was a lot of positivity surrounding Jordan Travis, which made me say, all right, one of 2 things, like either Mackenzie Milton still coming along in the system, or they're worried about his health still, which I think is a valid concern. So I'm worried about the quarterback position, but I think they're 2 good options, but I don't want to see a revolving door. And then You want the optimism or you want the pessimism? The schedule is really the significance for me. Like, it is a gauntlet. But I'm going to take the over because I do feel like this team will fight. I think you could see a surprise. I mean, last year, as bad as it was, they found a way to beat UNC, who was a top 5 team. Now, that was at home. It's hard to peg, but I think there's a surprise win in there somewhere. You know, like, I think there's I think there's a chance they could beat Notre Dame at home and still be around the 6-win total. Like, I just think it could be a bumpy ride for Florida State. Now, we'll have to do our locks. I don't know. That's not saying, hey, take the upset now, but Notre Dame breaking in a new quarterback. They got issues too. It's at home. There's going to be a great atmosphere. But the team, I think what Bud hit on is the team is going to be better. They're going to be better coached. They're going to be more familiar with the system. But as I prep for this Florida State team, I'm like, the offensive line is still a question. And this is the 4th or 5th year it's been a question. But for the first time in that window, they've had the same offensive line coach. So hopefully some stability there helps that position as well.
I think NC State is better. And I think that there is not enough of a separation against a Louisville or a Boston College for me to definitively say that they will win them both. I'm under. I've got them 5-7. I've got Jacksonville State, Wake Forest, Louisville, Syracuse, UMass. Losses: Notre Dame, UNC, Clemson, NC State, Miami, at BC, at Florida. And if that Notre Dame game happens, boom, flipped it. Like, the way that I'm looking at the season and breaking it down, if Florida State beats Notre Dame, that's a 6-6 team that's going to be bowling. And that would be awesome. I mean, you really could be able to swallow whatever happens against your biggest division rivals, against your biggest conference rival, and against your biggest rival overall, Clemson, Miami, and Florida. Whatever happens in that game, if you've got a Notre Dame win in your pocket, you're cushy. You're just trying to make sure that you take care of business against everybody else. But as I break it down, I've got this thing at 5-7. I'm going under.
I mean, this is like, Florida State was not a turnkey house. It's not like Mike Norvell just bought it, moves in, and everything's ready to go. Like, this is a rehab. This is a gut. This is going to take some time. And I feel like 2020 was just a very strange year, which I don't really think a lot of what you need to get done speeds up the process. So I think it kind of slows the process down even further. And I think while there's signs, obviously, of reason to be optimistic in the future, because, like, if you look at the recruiting rankings right now, FSU's got the #1 class in the ACC, and it's probably not going to finish any lower than 3rd when all the smoke and dust clears. But man, this was not a good team last year. It was a team with a lot of problems, a team with a lot of flaws that I don't think have been addressed in one off season. It's a team with a ridiculously difficult schedule. As we mentioned, the very top 15 teams on there, and they're all spread out. So it's like there's really nowhere to run and hide and rest for a little bit. So you don't get that opportunity. And also the other thing too, like when we look at this team last season, it's not just that it was 0-4 on the road. It's that it was 0-4 on the road and got its butt kicked by everybody it played on the road. So like, that to me is never a sign of a team that is close to taking that kind of step forward. I think when you're losing closely on the road, you could be like, okay, they're getting there. I think that could be the year for Florida State where maybe we start seeing improvement in the results there that give us more optimism heading into 2022. But right now for 2021, I got 5-7.